if you are right now in a situation where you feel threatened, or you feel someone resents you, or you feel anything of that type of enemy energy, so to speak, you have to figure out whether there's any truth to it. Now, you may figure out there's some truth, but not as much as you thought. Or you may figure out that there is truth to it. We'll get to that. Let's first eliminate. If you find that there isn't much truth to it, and there's something that can be done to diffuse it, by all means, it's in your own interest. And it's also will give you the self-confidence. If you go and do something about it, like you'd always send a third party and say, you know something, I know there's bad blood between us. I know that there's things, maybe things have been said, maybe I did something this, in a way, a very conciliatory way, not necessarily weakness, and the person may respond very well and say, you're right, I feel the same way, and I'm glad you brought it up. And maybe there needs to be mutual apologies and whatever it is, diplomacy. And this is not an act of strength. I'm not suggesting an act of weakness. Some people will say, well, if I do that, I'll look weak. Well, if you've established that the person is not really an enemy, then maybe that's not an element of weakness. It's coming from strength because you really do want to clear the air. Now, there's another two scenarios. Let's say the other person doesn't reciprocate. They say, you know what, I don't know what you're talking about, or I can't forgive you, you're a bad person, or blah, 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 or they deny it. Okay, so then at least you've tried. So you have at least that under your belt. And the next step would perhaps be is to figure out how to untangle yourself. Who says you have to interact? If the person by all means refuses to so-called have a conversation or do something with it, so maybe the approach has to be cordial. You can agree to disagree or whatever it is. And yes, rise to a higher level, take the high road, and not engage. This person doesn't seem to want to be a friend of yours. Choose your battles. Who says you have to fix everything? That would be the attitude of a healthy person. Because what you're doing here is you're becoming proactive. As I mentioned before, one of the big problems in dealing with the sentiment of feeling hated or feeling that somebody is an enemy of yours is the demoralization, but more importantly, reactive responses. You react. You react either with reciprocal anger or reciprocal hatred or vengeance or retreating and being resentful because you have to be quiet. Whether it's passive-aggressive, it doesn't matter whether we're passive-aggressive, aggressive or passive-aggressive, because bottom line is that person is forcing you to react. And that always undermines a person's self-esteem, because reaction means someone else is in control and you're reacting to them. Whereas the approach I'm suggesting is one that you become proactive. You're taking the bull by the horns. You're going to figure this out. And you establish, as I said, maybe it's overblown, maybe it can be resolved, and maybe it can't. And if it can't, it's not your problem, it's that person's problem. You want to hate me? That's your problem. I'm out of this.